You're listening to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Now it's time for our host, Kate Manson.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 87 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. I'm your host, Nate Maxon, and we're going to bring Aaron in here in just a moment. We're going to discuss In Your House 2 on this show, and goofy-looking wrestlers, something Aaron came up with. Some wrestlers we think are goofy-looking here in the We Can't Wrestle podcast. I want to remind you really quick before we start to also check out, listen, subscribe to the Asylum Wrestling podcast, which I am producing. And don't forget to join the Asylum group on Facebook, especially if you're a collector. You are going to love it. That's, again, the Asylum Wrestling podcast and the Asylum group on Facebook. That being said, let's go ahead and start episode 87 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Alright, wrestling fans, welcome to episode 87 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate and Aaron here with you. It is cold as tits here in West Central Ohio, where we are currently recording. I think it's, like 4 degrees outside right now, but...
7.
Oh, it's a heat wave. It's heated up a little bit.
7 degrees.
Nice and warm here in the We Can't Wrestle studios, though. Before we start today, of course, we're going to be talking about In Your House 2 from July 23rd, 1995. And also, Aaron wanted to talk about goofy-looking wrestlers. So we're going to do that also on the show. But I have an announcement to make, Aaron. It's a sad announcement. For those of you that listen to the show on a regular basis, you know that for pretty much 2 to 2.5 years now, in memory of the Toots Tweets and Toots Mont, the legendary promoter, we've had Toot Toot Tootsie by Al Jolson as our outro theme here on the show, and as of last week, it is bye-bye, Toot Toot Tootsie bye-bye. Can't use that song anymore, because I'm getting serious about the YouTube page now, posting the shows on YouTube. We're going to start doing more things on the YouTube page, and somehow, some way, no matter how old that song is, I always thought it would be public domain right now. Somebody owns a copyright on that song. So it's causing an issue with posting the shows on YouTube. It pretty much, any of the old shows that I'm posting up, I have to cut off the end of the show where that song is. So to not have to do that going forward, I'm sorry, but Tootsie is goodbye. Yes.
It's like old MacDonald had a farm.
And then he bought the farm. Yeah, so, sad to say, Al Jolson will no longer be joining us here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Fuck, I think we kept him alive long enough, don't you? Jesus. So, just wanted to make that announcement.
It's a joke that got made when nobody was listening to this thing, like 3 people. It's alright.
Yeah, that's fun. But yeah, Tootsie, bye-bye. Alright, so I got my note there, retiring Tootsie, at the top of my notes. And now, unless you have anything to talk about before we start with our topic of In Your House number 2,
No, just, like I said, it was humble beginnings, and we're still pretty humble on here. We got, 200 people on the Facebook page.
Yep, and climbing.
Oh,
and
hopefully those people are actually listening, so... with live stuff that you do, we do have people that do listen, so I'm going to do something I don't do very much and say I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. As George W. Bush would say, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
So we're going to July 23rd, 1995. It is the Nashville Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. An attendance of 6,482 for the second In Your House pay-per-view.
See, I miss things like that. The Nashville Municipal Auditorium.
Yeah, now everything's like the Kotex Center.
Now it'd be like, now we're coming to you from the Nashville
Piggly Wiggly Center.
the Nashville Hotheads Arena. How's it supposed to sound cool when they're like, we're going to have the, like, you'd be like, when I come to the Rosemont Horizon, I'm going to kick your ass.
And now
it's like, when I get to the Dunkin' Donuts Center, you're mine.
You're going down at the Piggly Wiggly Pagoda.
When I get to Safeway Stadium, you're done, sir. You're done. But,
or for AEW, when we get to the Ruler Foods Center. Sorry, does Walmart have an arena that they sponsor?
No.
And neither did.
Well, I mean, they have a thing at their headquarters.
No, I didn't know if they had their name on anything yet like that. Like, I know Costco does, and
not that I know of.
GameStop had a NASCAR when I worked for them.
The Walmart NASCAR, Jesus.
Walmart probably owns half of NASCAR. All right. So, we get the, you don't appreciate things until they're not around anymore. Yeah, back then it was cheesy and everything, but we get the cool Big Al intro for In Your House.
Yeah, and Big Al's on this show.
Yes, he is.
And I can say this. Big Al is like a big pervert. I mean, he looks like he's got stuff on his computer.
And back at this time, he'd have to be putting that effort in on dial-up. Like,
yeah. He might be dead now, I don't know. Or incarcerated for the stuff on his computer. But yeah, Big Al looks like a big pervert. Touchy-feely uncles. Doesn't need to be around.
The best worst, best worst is what I'm saying here. But the best worst Big Al song is the Superstars theme. Diesel Cool Undertaker. Shawn Michaels Heartbreaker.
Actually, the worst thing that Big Al ever did was his version of Shawn Michaels' Sexy Boy.
Oh, yeah. No, that was fucking great. WWF The Music Volume 2, I believe, if you're looking for that.
Can't play it because of YouTube.
Yeah.
There's also this thing going around for a long time that it was actually Vince. There was a rumor that it was Vince singing it.
I think I'm hot.
It's horrible.
It is. I'll have to post it on the Facebook group. I'm sure there's a YouTube clip of it.
Yeah, it's bad.
I have to post it for reference after I put the show up. But yeah, we got the Big Al entrance, and then we come to Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler doing commentary in their gay bar leather vests.
Yes, everybody on the show is dressed like an asshole. And I put that on there, and one of my other notes is that when it comes to styles and trends, there is absolutely positively no style or trend as fucking ugly as early 90s country.
The line dancing crowd?
Yes. Like the multicolored shirts, the shitty hats, and
the tight jeans and the cowboy boots.
Yeah, and sometimes the boots are tucked, sometimes the jeans are tucked in, sometimes they're not. They wore those, like, fucking... Some of them wore those, like, Native American-inspired vests. Just fucking trash.
Some of you listeners may or may not know from listening to my other podcast, The Motley Soup, or if you follow me personally on Facebook or what have you, I am a huge fan, and I think Aaron is too, but, I mean, one of my favorite country artists, other than, like, Dwight Yoakam and Johnny Cash, like, probably my third favorite country artist ever is the band The Mavericks. I love the Mavericks. The Mavericks are an amazing country band. But the reason I'm saying that, what brought this to my mind was the other night when I was scanning around, I watched a couple of their music videos on YouTube. And when you said the early to mid 90s country style, that's one thing. Like those videos, it was just full of that style of clothing and dress.
There's some good music.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
But that style of dress was just fucking atrocious. You want a good example of what I'm talking about? Like, go watch Walker, Texas Ranger,
or any Alan Jackson video.
Yeah. Oh my god. Fucking vests with like dream catchers on them and shit. Like, what the fuck is going on?
So
Didn't know that was going to be the thing that popped you, but
it's fantastic. So we start the pay-per-view off. Our opening match after the horrendous clothing of Lawler and McMahon is a decent match. It's the 1-2-3 Kid against the Roadie.
Oh yeah.
Which, back then when I was a teenager, I didn't realize these guys probably smoked a big fatty after the match together. But Jesse James, the Road Dogg, and X-Pac, the 1-2-3 Kid, having a match here in Roadie's infancy in the WWF, and Kid had only been around for a couple of years. Good match, though.
Yeah, I put that on there, that this was a good match. Didn't mean to interrupt you, sir.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say good match with a finish that was kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, and I put that on there. There was a sloppy second rope pile driver, and I don't remember anybody ever, like, doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
At least not in this era. I don't even know why they thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, it's
obviously nobody got hurt,
right.
But it looked clunky. It didn't look. It. I know people say it now, but it's like a move that's like too set up. You know what I mean?
Right. And they didn't execute it well. Like Kid had to have at least been a little hurt. I mean, obviously not bad, but the way he landed on his neck. And it's just, they clump. I don't even know how to describe the sound and the feeling that you get when you watch it, but
it's also easy to sleep on how good, he was always good, but how fantastic Sean Waltman was at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he got later on, he still did stuff, but it wasn't as much like this. It's almost like, how do I say it? Like he's not as fast and shit as Rey Mysterio, but it's almost like how Rey Mysterio worked his career, Yeah. Like, as he got older, it was like, okay, I'm still going to do elements of what I do, but it's going to be slowed down a little bit. It's going to be a little less impactful, obviously, because you get older and you get smarter and things like that. But yeah, like, Sean Waltman at this time was on like the list, like the top 5 best wrestlers. I think not even only in the WWF, but maybe in the country at this time.
Well, honestly, dark horse candidate for one of the best workers of all time. Which we need to do that as a top 10 soon. We've never done that. We've done like our favorite wrestlers and everything, but just in-ring work, smoothness, just best workers of all time. That'd be a great top 10.
Do that next week.
All right. So, anything else on that match?
Nope, it was a good, solid opener.
I gave it 3.5 Jeff Farmer yeps. So, yeah, good stuff from these guys. Now we come to the $1 Million Corporation.
Oh, yeah.
Doing a backstage interview. The $1 Million Corporation, you can say it's either one of the best or one of the worst factions of all time. I think it's fun because they don't fit. Like, none of them fit together. Like, it's just this mishmash of guys. You got Sid, IRS, Tatanka, the Godfather, and of course Ted DiBiase. Everybody gets to cut a promo. You got jive talking Tatanka here, and Sid's promo is what it is.
Well, it's kind of like Sid's promo was kind of like a letdown, and it's funny because like Tatanka like did Sid's promo for him before Sid got to talk.
Yeah.
It's like he said everything Sid should have said, but Tatanka said it. Like if I was Sid, I would have been like, dude,
the fuck? What the fuck, Travis?
You just said everything I was supposed to say.
And it's always fun to get a good long Sid promo because, man, it's like a train wreck. Like,
yeah, but it worked. He's psycho.
Sid, I don't know. I know Sid gets a lot of hate. I was always a fan of Sid. Was Sid the best worker? No. Was Sid, going to give you a 5-star classic? No.
He was entertaining.
He was entertaining. He was a spectacle. He was a specimen. He was an attraction. I always liked Sid. Actually,
he doesn't get enough credit for being, like, once he got in there and everything, he was a charismatic motherfucker, too.
Yes. I mean, we went to, Aaron and I went to a house show in '96 in Toledo, a WWF house show, and I think probably other than The Undertaker, Sid got the biggest pop of the night. Sid was over. Sid was the guy that turned Madison Square Garden on Shawn Michaels, for Christ's sake. So to argue that he wasn't a success in the business is just silly.
Yep.
Again, you may not like his work in the ring, but whatever. And again, I love his promos because it's like, what am I going to get? What am I going to get with this one?
I'm a Sid fan.
Can we start that over? Sorry, we're live, pal. Okay. So now, I think we had a Barry Dudinsky in here.
Yeah, Little Ray Romano.
Everybody loves Barry.
The next match. Oh, go ahead.
Barry Dudinsky was the for those of you that don't know, maybe you're more of a modern wrestling fan. Barry Dudinsky was WWF's little Jewish Don West. Pretty much. So he was the salesman. He sold you those ugly ass. Speaking of ugly looks from the 90s, how about those all over WWF t-shirts? God,
how about pretty much anything that was wrestling apparel?
Wrestling apparel before Austin 316 was hideous.
Like WWF was making us all over shirts, and then WCW was producing their pay-per-view denim jackets. With like airbrushed Beach Blast on the back of it and shit. So the fuck.
Oof. All right, so go ahead. I cut you off.
Oh, that's all right. Up next, it's Razor Ramon and Savio Vega versus Raspuna from Norbit and Carl Winslow, collectively known as Men on a Mission.
This match wasn't great.
Do you know why? Because Men on a Mission was in it.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Even having considered that Scott Hall and Savio Vega, two of the better men on the roster at the time, two of the best wrestlers of the 90s, are in the match.
Two of the best wrestlers ever.
They're in there against these two fucking guys.
Men on a Mission sucked.
They did.
They sucked when they were good. They sucked when they were bad.
We're on a mission.
Just trash.
Yeah.
Worst King of the Ring ever.
Yeah.
And Billy Gunn was King of the Ring.
I was gonna say the two worst King of the Ring pay-per-views are probably 95 and 99.
Yeah.
So
and Billy Gunn wasn't a bad wrestler or whatever. But I mean, he wasn't setting the world on fire either in the ring. But he didn't need it. He made no sense as King of the Ring.
And it was funny.
He didn't do anything different other than put a couple crowns on his tights and go out there. But Mabel was just trash.
It was funny during this time. It was like Vince. Okay, Vince had an obsession. He's always had an obsession with size, but it was almost like, because if you watch the 90s with, just some of the people he tried to push, some of the guys that were heels on the roster, it's like once he had Yokozuna as a successful top heel, he got obsessed not with big heels, but with big fat heels. You know what I mean? And then, along comes Mabel, who's a big fat guy and be a big fat heel, and it just did not work. The only good thing that ever came out of this was Sir Mo going, hear ye, servants and wenches. That's the only good thing that ever came out of this. It had a shitty SummerSlam main event. You want to see one of the worst matches you've ever seen, speaking of an In Your House? Watch Yokozuna and Mabel slap each other around at the October 95 In Your House. It's fucking horrible. It's horrible. But anyway, going on long here. Men on a Mission get the Duke over Razor and Savio.
Which it's how many years later, and I was still like, fuck that.
You're like Jim Ross. Oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But they're trying to put Mabel over, so that's what you do. You have the heel go over a babyface. Maybe Savio should have taken the pin here. But there you go. Men on a Mission defeat Razor and Savio. I gave it a yep and a half. Just because Scott Hall was in the match and Savio Vega was in the match.
Bad stuff.
So let's see. After that match, it's Diesel's Lumberjacks. It's a motley crew. You got Man Mountain Rock, Adam Bomb, the Smoking Guns, Bam Bam Bigelow. And here's the funny thing, and they used to do this. They used to do this in the WWF and WCW at the time, but what I'm bringing WWF up is, we're in the age of the hotlines, okay? And they're talking about earlier on the hotline, it was reported that one of Diesel's Lumberjacks had sold out to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And then these guys all go around like a bunch of clown shoes. I think Doc Hendricks' thing is, and we come to, you're the beginning of the alphabet, Adam Bomb. Did you sell out? What a stupid reason to... But anyway, sometimes WWF would do these things like these rumors on the website or on the hotline. It's like, you know what? Why didn't you actually make that a story? Like, you wasted a good story just making it a scoop on the hotline. Like, it would have been a good story that one of these guys sold out to Ted DiBiase and turned on Diesel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it also would have generated revenue, and they needed revenue at the time.
Yes, they did.
And Man Mountain Rock tries to be funny. Yeah, I took the money. Not.
Yeah. Not.
Man Mountain Rock. Nobody offering you money.
And then at the end of the interview, it kind of gets overshadowed by the guys all screaming and shit. But Bam Bam Bigelow goes, we're going to make the $1 Million Corporation broke and bankrupt. And it's like, well, those are the same thing, Bam Bam. Broke and bankrupt.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So
I hate Adam Bomb.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Any incarnation of Brian Clark, I'm like, fuck off. Fuck off out here, Brian Clark.
Oh. So next we have the concert. The music performance of With My Baby Tonight by Jeff Jarrett. Obviously, Road Dogg is singing, but the lip sync job... Jarrett did a pretty good job with the lip sync job. I want just because of for the posterity of the show, I watched the performance, closely so I could see if I could catch any. And at the end, he has one slip up. But other than that, he did a pretty decent job with the lip sync job on the With My Baby Tonight.
Yeah, and it's if they would have stuck around, it would have been interesting to see how the story went. But yeah, it was if you watch it, it's a masterful build to this guy finally performing.
Yeah.
For like a year. He's like, I'm the best singer in the world. I'm the best. And then he goes out there and he just gets caught lip syncing, and it would have been so much better if they wouldn't have quit.
Right.
But it's just crazy that, like, Jeff Jarrett's run, like his first run in the WWF, like, the best night he had was, like, the last night he had.
And, they when they do the guitar solo during the song, I don't know if you noticed, but Vince just goes, oh yeah! Or something like that. Like, Vince has to break in and do some kind of thing when they're doing the guitar solo.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't know if I have much more to say about the segment, but like you said, it would have been, especially for that time, it would have been a really good angle. And what would have become of, like, that's what I wonder. Like, okay, so now we've revealed that Jesse James is actually the singer of the song, so does Jeff Jarrett drop the country singer angle? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What happens here? This is my favorite time in Jeff Jarrett's career. There are times during TNA that I like Jeff Jarrett, like the King of the Mountain era of Jeff Jarrett. He was one of the better things about TNA. I know you're not a big Jeff Jarrett fan, but this is my favorite iteration of Jarrett, and then some of the TNA stuff, but this is definitely the most tolerable Jeff Jarrett to me. I'm not a fan of WCW Jeff Jarrett. I'm not even a huge fan of the late 90s Attitude Era Jeff Jarrett, except for probably the tag team with Owen. But
I liked when he beat up Moolah and Mae Young. That was fun.
No, I'm not saying he was terrible or didn't have moments, but you know what I'm saying. This is my favorite iteration and my favorite incarnation of Jeff Jarrett is the Double J. And I know some of the guys out there that are probably not as big WWF guys as me would say, oh, of course, that was when he was at his worst. Not really. I mean, anyway. All right, so now after that, let's see here. We got Todd Pettengill amongst the unwashed masses. That one kid at the end there is funny though. That chubby kid standing next to him, Pettengill's like, "Double J, what'd you think?" And that kid's like, "He's alright."
He's alright.
He's alright.
He's alright.
And then Todd's like, "He's alright."
It's like indifferent.
Yeah, he's alright.
He's alright, yes.
But up next now we have Henry Godwinn and Bam Bam Bigelow, two of the better big man wrestlers of all time,
yeah,
not
this is not a good match.
Not having a good match. It just goes to show you, good workers sometimes just don't have chemistry together. But since it wasn't a great match, Bam Bam won it. We won't talk about the match too much unless you have any notes on ugly things or anything.
My note goes, Bam Bam Bigelow defeated Henry Godwinn after Hogg missed something off of the top rope. Like, usually you can tell what they're going for, but I don't know what he was even doing. And I don't really remember Henry Godwinn going to the top rope very much.
So, what I wrote down, because during this match, and one of the other matches on the show, I kind of zoned out. And I kind of zoned out during this match. But one thing I was thinking about was Bam Bam Bigelow's WWF run at this time in 95 is like the last 2 years of WCW. Like, it went from so high to so not in such a short... I mean, he's main eventing WrestleMania in April, and by November, he's gone. He's beat by Goldust at Survivor Series, and he's out of there. It's crazy.
And if you ask him, it's because of who he was friends with and who he wasn't friends with. I don't know how much of that's true, but
I mean, it could be true. It could, and that's what I say about the Clique. I think at least they were perceived as bad as they are perceived by people. In one respect, they say they were looking out for the company and the business, and they thought that the best thing for the company and the business was for them to be the top guys, because they were the guys that were going to be loyal and were going to stick around. We found out with Nash and Hall that wasn't necessarily true. But, you hear enough stories from enough different people, I think, to realize that, at least perception-wise, or for the people outside of the Clique within the company that weren't like The Undertaker, they were fucking douchebags.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But, you know what else? They went out every single night, all five of them, and worked their fucking asses off, too. Because I know there weren't many wrestlers during that time period that me as a fan was entertained by as those guys. So.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so now we come to, obviously, the best match of the night. And
you missed Bob Backlund giving the business to some kids.
No, I didn't. I actually have Backlund written down here. It just says Backlund. But, yeah, Bob running for president. And Jerry
giving the business to some kid in a Kurt Cobain shirt.
And Jerry Lawler says, I'm starting to agree with Bob. And McMahon says, Bob Backlund? No, Bob Dole. All right, Jerry, Vince, thank you.
You wait, Bob Dole's peanut butter.
That's great.
One of the best.
Norm Macdonald as Bob Dole in the real world.
It's one of the best SNL skits ever.
I forgot about that. That shit is funny.
You know
as
what I
fuck.
mean? Norm Macdonald's my faves. You know what I mean? But yeah, Bob Dole on the real world is one of the greatest things fucking ever produced.
Hey, Bob Dole's peanut butter. He's holding that pen the whole time.
Yeah, when they're like 7 people living in a house together. 7 people when they start getting real. Start getting real.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's great stuff.
Go ahead.
The match of the night. I actually gave this match 4.5 yeps, and it is probably my favorite Jeff Jarrett match ever.
I put that on here. This is Jeff Jarrett's greatest match.
It is. Shawn Michaels beats Jarrett for the Intercontinental title in about 20 minutes, and it is 20 minutes that will go by very fast because everybody does their job great in this match. Jarrett and Rhodey play the match goes up and down as far as like they do such a good job of bringing the crowd in, bringing them up and then bringing them back down, and then bringing them up and bringing them back down, and there's false finishes, and there's the heels trying to retreat to the outside, and you wouldn't know watching the match that Jarrett and Rhodey were about to quit because they were pros. They were fucking pros in this match.
And it might tell me to fuck off or whatever, but this, I think you could put this maybe in, like, if you were going to break down big time matches for Shawn Michaels, this could possibly be in his top 10 greatest matches ever.
It might be. I'm not gonna say you're wrong at all.
This thing is fantastic.
It is, and the judge of a great match at the end of the day is your crowd, right?
Excuse me.
The judge of a great match is your crowd, and the crowd, they have the crowd in the palm of their fucking hand in this match. Like, they feel the highs, they feel the lows, and yeah, just a great match overall. I don't know if you have any other notes on it, but
I heard your annoyance with my burp.
What?
I heard the tone when I burped. You're like, I think this is a.
Well, I'm not gonna edit it. I'm not gonna edit it out now because apparently that was a fun moment. So we're just gonna leave that in.
But yeah, you were just like, this is a good match. Like, sorry.
That's funny. Well, Jerry Lawler.
No, Shawn Michaels. It's still to this day impressive as fuck when Shawn Michaels gets backdropped over the turnbuckle post.
Oh yeah.
Like, he doesn't go high, super high in the air. He just takes a bump over the turnbuckle post, and you watch it, and you're still like, holy shit. So, it's like, why now do you have to do, like, a triple gainer head first through a table? You don't need to.
What Shawn did looks so much more real.
Yeah, you don't need to do it. It's okay to do it sometimes, you know? Like, when Mick Foley goes head first through that one table, and then... like, literally goes head first through the table.
Yeah. It's insane.
It's insane. And at the time, you were like, holy shit, because it didn't happen every week. Mm-hmm. And then after this match, Shawn Michaels goes out and he kisses what's supposed to be like some hot chick. But she's got like a fucked up face.
Now, hold on. I have it written down here. Before the match, when Michaels is coming out, they show that woman, and Jerry Lawler goes, "What's her hobby? Stepping on rakes?"
I didn't hear that.
Yes, what's her hobby? Stepping on rakes?
Like, she's obviously a plant, you know?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they have found a more attractive plant?
A house plant.
Yeah, with her face, she looked like E.T. in drag. Her eyes are all far apart and shit. But anyway.
Alright, so, that being said, now... Oh, during the match, also, Vince has mic problems, and Lawler's just loving that. Because Vince's mic isn't working. Don't worry, Vince, I got it. So now we go back to one of Michael Hayes' craziest moments in the history of his career.
There's something before that, though. We get little Ray Romano.
Oh, yes. I didn't write that down, but yes, we do. We get another...
he's selling Shawn Michaels stuff, and then HBK comes out. And...
Where I work, it's HBC, but go ahead.
Where I work, it's HBA. But anyway, Shawn Michaels comes back after his victory, and 3 times in the show, he mentions people not calling him on his birthday. Mm-hmm. Okay? But it doesn't bother him. Why have you brought it up 3 times? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when you're seeing somebody and you forget to, like, bring something home from the store. It's not a big deal. And then they're like, man, I really wish I had a Reese cup right now. It's like, you told me it wasn't a big deal. really... I'll go get the fucking Reese cup right. It's not a big deal. You're already home. Don't worry about it. I will go get the Reese cup right now. I'm not worried about it. Fine. You enjoying the show? I'd enjoy it better if I had a Reese cup. So Shawn Michaels reminds me of with this
fucking birthday.
On my birthday.
Birthday pity party.
Huh?
His birthday pity party.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Michael Hayes is up next. Apparently he got some of Johnny Paycheck's cocaine.
One of the craziest moments of his career. Like, not only does he look goofy.
He's on cocaine supplied by Johnny Paycheck.
Yes. He's chronicling for us a fight that probably would have happened for real had Jarrett and Road Dogg not left WWF this night. So, but he's I'm not going to try to recreate it, but it's a wacky moment with Michael Hayes talking about Jarrett and the Road Dogg having their confrontation in the back.
Road Dogg has officially gone on record. I've seen him say it, or read him say it, I should say, that leaving with Jeff was one of the dumbest moves he's ever made in his career.
Yeah.
He thinks he would have had a bigger career if he hadn't left.
Well, and it's funny, because if you think about it, if he hadn't left, they probably would have still done the same real Double J storyline, okay? However...
But the fake Double J left in disgrace.
Yes, but also, if you think about the timeline, the real Double J thing probably would have got more steam, because the problem was the real Double J character, whole thing actually came to fruition during the advent of Austin and The Rock. You know, there would have been a year before all of that started happening here, and maybe that character would have had more steam. Not that he didn't turn it around and make a good career out of anyway, because a good guy.
But the real Double J is rough.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody cares. Like, it's not even that they're booing it to where they could have turned it into a heel thing.
Yeah.
Like people, like how Honky Tonk Man was, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. People just did not.
Yeah, they just were quiet. All right, so next is the other match I zoned out during. It is Owen Hart and Yokozuna, the tag team champions, against the Allied Powers, Lex Luger and the British Bulldog. This match apparently didn't do anything for me because I don't have anything written down about it. I just have Yoko and Owen beat Luger and Bulldog.
There was nothing wrong, but there was nothing special. It was just a match. And the coolest part about the Allied Powers was their music.
Yeah,
the music was cool, like blending Luger and Bulldog's music together.
The mashup of their music.
I don't think the WWF had done that yet.
No, that's the first time they did it.
but the match was just meh.
It was just there.
And something else I read that the British Bulldog said once was WWF Magazine asked him, "What's the best rib anybody ever pulled on you?" And he said, "When they teamed me with Luger."
And now we come to our main event, WWF Championship match. It's a lumberjack match. The champion Diesel against Psycho Sid. And
it's trash.
It is. It's trash.
These guys never worked well together.
They didn't. You're right. Like
every company they were in tried it,
mm-hmm.
but it never worked well together.
And
I know why they tried it.
It's not because either one of them are terrible either. Like, I know people make the joke about Nash having 5 moves or whatever, but Kevin Nash could have a good match too. Kevin Nash had great matches with Michaels. He had great matches with Rey Mysterio, etc., etc. Sid had great matches with Shawn Michaels. Sid, you know what I'm saying? It's just these two together was not. It's kind of like there's other groups of people that have groupings that you thought. Well, we talked about Bam Bam and Henry Godwin during this pay-per-view. Two great workers, but they just didn't have it.
If somebody wants to tell me that Kevin Nash has no abilities whatsoever and cannot wrestle, just needs to go and watch any match involving Kevin Nash and Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And people will say, "Well, he's in there with Bret, so that's why it's great." It's like, no, it takes 2 people.
It takes 2 people, exactly.
Actually, it takes 3 people.
I've seen shitty Ric Flair matches, folks. Because he was in there, and that's not dissing Flair, but you can't, like Aaron said, it takes 2 people to have a match. Yeah, okay, an enhancement match, maybe not. But
well, that even takes 2 people.
But you know what I'm saying, though.
The enhancement guy can make the other guy that's doing the moves to him look like shit.
This is true.
You know what I mean? Because he's not selling the shit right.
Diesel retains it. Oh, go ahead.
You can base it off of another podcast, but Marion Crumley, you know, you go back and you watch some of them early WWF like job matches and stuff. Some of them jobbers were shit. They were terrible, and they made the guys in the ring look like shit. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
That's all right. I thought this match had a butt finish. It's just like there's all this chicanery going on. Then there's a big boot, and Sid gives Diesel. Diesel covers Sid, but Sid sells Diesel the cartooniest pinfall I've ever seen. Like, his legs are straight up in the air, and Diesel gets the pin. And thankfully, this match is over. The main event. We should have ended the show with Michaels and Jarrett.
The guy powerbombs the champion and decides, "Oh, I just powerbombed him. I'm gonna go high five all my buddies."
I'm gonna go high five all my buddies. And Diesel doesn't.
And none of his buddies are like, "Yeah, you fucking idiot, go pin him." You know what I mean? That's what a real buddy would be like. "What the fuck are you doing over here?"
The show overall, I give.
This is trash. This is a horrible pay-per-view.
Just based on the Roadie and 1-2-3 Kid and Shawn Michaels and Jeff Jarrett, I gave the show 3 yeps.
I gave this show 2 yeps. And this show was so bad that, like, by the time I was done with it, I even forgot about, like, the Road Dogg and X-Pac having their match. Like, this thing's bad.
Other match. Those of you that don't know, the In Your House pay-per-views were only about an hour and a half to 2 hours long, so the WWF would have other matches on these shows. The opening match of this show was actually Skip of the Body Donnas against Aldo Montoya. He defeated Aldo Montoya in 4 minutes.
I would have rather seen Skip versus Aldo Montoya than Henry Godwin versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
How about this one for you? Also on the show, after Diesel and Sid had their match, Bret Hart defeated Jean-Pierre Lafitte, which they always tear it up. And The Undertaker defeated Kama in a casket match to end the show.
Whatever.
So that being said, that is In Your House 2. I gave it 3. Aaron gave it 2. but it was nice to watch Shawn Michaels and Jeff Jarrett. That's for sure.
Yes.
So when we come back from our break, firstly, the next topic here is we're going to do goofy-looking wrestlers. That probably won't take too much time, but with us, you never know. Sometimes I think something's going to take like 15 minutes, and 45 minutes later, we're still talking about one guy. But, and then also, Aaron had posted on our Facebook group. If you haven't joined it yet, what the fuck are you waiting for? But Aaron had posted up on there a couple of things. First of all, we're going to do the drawing to see who's going to win some of Aaron's free shit. Which one of them was an Ultimate Warrior Funko Pop, and the other one I have dubbed the Triple H Murder Weapon, because Aaron says it weighs quite a bit. And then also, and that was, to join that drawing, all you had to do was invite your friends to join our Facebook group. So, that being said, also, Aaron has posted up for anybody to send us questions for the show, to try to win a Loyal Subjects Macho Man Randy Savage figure. So we're going to do the questions. We'll do the questions from the listeners before we do the goofy-looking wrestlers. We'll also do the drawing, so we'll do that. Aaron's going to give away a bunch of free shit when we come back from our break here in the We Can't Wrestle podcast. We'll be right back after this. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate and Aaron here with you, and let's do our segment of the show where Aaron's going to be generous and give you all some of his free shit. First of all,
it's not going to happen very much because I like my shit.
You're just going to have to trust me here, ladies and gentlemen, that I actually have the. If you watch the drawing that I had for the contest I had live, I have the Han Solo cup here. Han Solo cup. I have a Han Solo coffee mug from 1983 because I'm a fucking geek. I have your names in it, those of you that invited people to join the Facebook group, and I'm going to draw a winner out of the cup right now. Let's find out who is winning. Let's find out who is winning either the Ultimate Warrior Pop or the Triple H Murder Weapon. And our winner is Zach Clark. Congratulations, Zach. You are the winner. And I will private message you, get your address, and as soon as Aaron gets that over to me, I will ship it to you, your choice of the Ultimate Warrior or the game Triple H Murder Weapon. Now, the next contest that we have is Aaron posted on our Facebook group for the opportunity to win the Little Loyal Subjects Macho Man figure, as Aaron called it, Little Macho Man. Dig it! Mm-hmm. You were supposed to give some questions that you wanted to ask us, the hosts of the show. And Aaron said I was going to pick the best. I'm not going to pick favorites. I'm going to write the names down as we go, and I will do a drawing.
Whatever.
I'm not going to pick favorites. Don't have a favorite child. But Aaron, go ahead, fire away with the questions. I don't know the questions. I avoided the posts, so they would be a surprise to me. And Aaron will obviously answer them as well.
Not a lot of you people participated. Get up off your asses. Not that. Well, you don't have to get up off your ass. Just you're on the fucking phone anyway. Just ask me a question. Jesus. All right. So, off the first post I put, we got 3 questions. The first one is from Jamie Patterson. I don't know if you're aware of this Jamie Patterson person.
I am.
But he goes, which is the bigger pile of shit sports gimmick? The Goon or Abe Knuckleball Schwartz?
I say the Goon by far, because Abe Knuckleball Schwartz actually was kind of like Doink, where you had a Sinister underneath him.
Yeah.
Like, he would cut those promos, and he'd have kind of a sinister thing going on. It's still silly, but I say the Goon was the bigger piece of shit gimmick.
I would agree. And more on the Goon later. and Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, I don't know, he just didn't look as stupid. But like I said, more on that later. Next question. Oh, somebody might have already tried to sneak one in.
No.
Next question is from Mark Small. What do you think of the whole Tessa Blanchard poop tape? And do you think it'll affect her more?
Affect her more? Oh, my.
I don't know what that means.
Well, first of all, the poop tape, I did hear it on the Jim Cornette show. And, I mean, it's outlandish. It's kind of crazy.
It's not her. I don't think it's her.
And I don't think it's going to affect her at all. I don't think in the modern era of the internet and the way they just, as crazy as society is now, Tessa Blanchard taking a shit isn't going to affect her pro wrestling career. So we had Jamie Patterson, right?
So like I said, I don't think it's her. For one, and two, if anything, with society now,
it'll help.
And with the things that I know, yeah, it'll help.
Who asked that question?
Mark Small.
Mark Small, all right.
He's a small Mark.
I'm a big Mark. So.
The next person is a guy that a name I recognize, Ryan Damon.
Ryan Damon
wants to know. And this would probably be the same answer for both of us because we go to events together. Where was the longest you ever traveled to attend a wrestling show, and was it worth the long distance?
Well, we've gone to this city a few times for wrestling shows, but I'm going to say one show in particular. Indianapolis is about 3 hours from us, and we have traveled to Indianapolis a few times to watch wrestling shows, but the one that is the most memorable is we were at the SummerSlam 2008 pay-per-view that had the Edge, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell main event, and yes, it was absolutely worth the drive.
It was.
It was a fantastic show. And we had...
also had the Shawn Michaels,
the Shawn
Chris Jericho segment.
With the wife, yes.
Jericho pops Rebecca in the face. And that actually was like... There was heat in the building when that happened. Like, that was actually really cool.
Very cool.
It was.
That was also the night Batista broke John Cena's neck.
I
don't know why
two
I
more
laughed at
questions.
that.
Two more questions.
Okay.
Brian McGraw.
Brian McGraw, all right.
Says, why does the Macho Man wear sunglasses?
Because he got crazy eyes. Dig it? Mm-hmm.
Because he wants to?
He was always more effective at crazy without the sunglasses. Like, when he'd take the sunglasses off and show those crazy... I think that's another reason he did. It was, it was like, okay, hide the crazy eyes, but then he flips the glasses off, and you haven't been beat up properly yet. And you get the crazy Randy Savage eyes. Or, when he always flipped them off when he went to do a stare down. You know what I mean? Like that meant Randy Savage was serious, kind of like Jerry Lawler, taking down the strap.
Yeah.
Other than that, like Aaron said, because he wanted to.
He's the Macho Man. He can do what he wants.
Dig it.
And then some guy named Christopher Wood.
Chris Wood.
Says, Repo Man having tire tread marks all over his gear implies he was ran over. ... Why? Does it imply he was bad at his job?
That's actually pretty funny. They got away. Repo Man was not successful. The only thing he ever actually successfully repossessed was Savage's hat, and then Savage took it back.
Yeah, and I don't know, Chris Wood, if you watched a lot of the Repo Man's run in the WWF, but he got pretty good at doing the job.
There's that one picture from a WWF magazine of him in the mask.
That white Lucha Ray looking outfit.
And then somebody posted on one of the Facebook groups I'm in, there's actually on YouTube, you can find one match from like I think it was from an Action Zone or what something, Mania or something, where he actually wrestled in that outfit. I'd never actually seen footage of him wrestling in that outfit, but there is footage out there of him wrestling in that outfit. But Chris, good question. So those are the only 5?
Yep.
All right.
Like I said, you guys half-assed it. Get out here. Do some stuff.
Jamie Patterson, Mark Small, Ryan Damon, Brian McGraw, and Chris Wood. We're going to draw for the Little Macho Man. I'm going to pause the recording here so I can rip this paper up, because I do this shit old school. I'm going to rip this paper up, do a drawing, and see who won. And you won't know we're gone, but we're going to be gone for a second. All right, so here we go. We're going to do our drawing here and see who is going to win the Macho Man Loyal Subjects based on a question asked. And it is Jamie Patterson. Jamie Patterson is our winner of the Macho Man Loyal Subjects, free from Aaron. We will be shipping that out here within the next couple of days to you, Jamie, absolutely free, courtesy of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Thank you for being a listener and for being a participating member of the group. We appreciate each and every one of you. So Zach Clark, Jamie Patterson, the two of you guys during this week's edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast have won some free shit. So congratulations. All right, so now, and thank you, Aaron, for donating your items to the cause.
Cool.
So now,
like I said, guys, I don't give my shit away very much. I like my shit. So when you do see me put something up, just be like, oh man, he doesn't do this very much. I'm trying to be more interactive. You got to interact with me, or I'm going to go back to half-assing it.
I'm going to go back to seclusion.
Yeah, I'm getting paid for this.
So now let's talk about goofy-looking wrestlers. This could or could not be a long segment, we'll find out. But it's going to be funny regardless. And Aaron, since you came up with the idea, I'm going to let you go first.
All right, we're going to volley back and forth?
Yes.
All right. Let me go with, and obviously this isn't when he got going later on in the WWF, but this is when he first came in. It was goofy looking. It was terrible. I don't know why anybody did it. But when Farouk first showed up in the WWF, he looked fucking goofy.
With the Spartacus helmet.
Yes, the foam helmet and that onesie outfit that he had, it was terrible.
It was goofy looking. You're damn right.
Okay. How anybody thought we've waited a decade that they tried to get this guy to come into their company. Am I wrong? And
no.
It's about a decade.
Yeah.
They tried to get Ron Simmons to come in, and they finally get him, and they put him out there in that outfit. It's terrible.
So the first guy on my list is goofy looking, literally goofy looking. Like, all of my guys are literally goofy looking, not just their outfit. I went with this guy's goofy looking dude.
I can do those too. That's a whole nother. I can make a whole nother list.
Angelo Mosca Jr. What a goofy looking fucking
Angelo
guy.
Mosca Sr.
Well, yeah, but Mosca Jr. not only is one of my least favorite wrestlers of all time, ever. He was terrible, but he was a goofy looking fucking guy. He looked stupid and just goofy, and he was oddly built. And Angelo Mosca Jr., you're a goofy looking motherfucker. That's all I got to say about that with his big unibrow and shit. Fuck that guy. All right.
The next person on my list, another goofy looking gimmick. It was stupid. The Zodiac.
Yes. With the little ponytail in the front.
It was like a spike.
One of the fucking stupidest things ever is when they come pulling up in that monster truck, on Nitro.
Yeah, they're all hanging off of it.
And he's like coming out the sunroof doing his whatever the fuck he's doing with his hands.
Yeah.
What a goofy
fucking
guy. Beefcake's kind of goofy looking anyway.
Yeah. But that Zodiac gimmick is just one of the worst things that I've ever seen.
So we're recording this on Valentine's Day. Have you seen the Valentine's meme?
Which one? There's tons of them.
The one of Valentine and Beefcake sitting in the trailer or whatever. Then it says, "I'll be your Valentine if you be my Beefcake."
Yeah.
They're sitting there in Beefcake's trailer or whatever, watching TV with the beers. All right. All right, so I guess we kind of went in different directions with this, because you said goofy-looking wrestlers, so I actually literally thought of goofy-looking people, not their gimmicks. Goofy-looking guy, Ron Reese. He was
the little baby arms.
He was a very disproportionate man, just a goofy-looking man to me. Like, he had like a long head. Like, his head was long, and then he has big body and these little T-Rex arms.
Little baby arms, yeah.
Probably kicked my ass, but whatever. Ron Reese, you're a goofy looking motherfucker.
You get 2 feet out in front of me, he's gonna be able to grab you.
Yeah, it'll get me with his long head. Alright, volleying back to you.
Max Moon.
That was goofy looking. I love how we went. I love how we went in 2 different directions here. It's so fun.
Paul Diamond was a fantastic wrestler.
Yes.
But he's like the first and only wrestler that's ribbed for your pleasure.
On the first Raw, when he comes out and he's got it's that little short aisle.
And they don't play his music right away. Yeah. He's still shooting off his shit.
He's shooting his things just like...
It's all far away. People are just looking at him. They don't give a shit.
And then he goes and has a fantastic match with Shawn Michaels. Yes, definitely. I mean, you probably couldn't have put... You know, there's a reason that everything Paul Diamond ever did in the WWF was under a hood, and it was because he was kind of goofy looking. Like he had that big poofy mullet, but a fantastic wrestler. And I hate to get off the topic of him being goofy looking, but I mean, the angle with him in Memphis getting put out is one of my favorite angles ever. He had a great tag team with Pat Tanaka as both Tanaka and Diamond and the Orient Express when he was under the mask as Kato.
Helped him make millions.
But WWF didn't do him any favors with that Max Moon gimmick. So, since my thing is literally goofy looking people, the next one on my list is a group. It's a group of folks. You know who was goofy looking? The Von Erichs. they're goofy. They're goofy.
I started making a little side list of like goofy looking people. And I got to scratch Kerry Von Erich off my list.
All of them. They're all goofy looking. Like they're just...
they look like a horse-faced
dumb.
Mongoloid.
They look dumb. Like, it's funny because I see...
They don't look dumb.
God,
they are
dang.
Dumb. Gosh, dang.
Like, Kevin Von Erich's kids don't look like they're Kevin Von Erich's kids. You know what I mean? Those two do not look goofy.
Lacey Von Erich? You don't look like she should be Kevin or Kerry Von Erich's kid. Like, Kerry Von Erich's wife must have been fucking hot. Because Lacey Von Erich, she didn't have a long career. Because she ended up having kids and shit and didn't want to do it anymore. But god damn. Like, she has no right to look like that with her goofy looking fucking dad.
But yeah, Fritz and his boys were some goofy-looking sons of bitches.
Mongoloid motherfuckers.
Kevin Von Erich, you're a goofy-looking motherfucker. So who's next?
He always looked sloppy too. Like not like in like shape wise. Like in shape, he was in shape.
Yeah.
And he's really, and that's the other thing too. Like the three of them were like really good in the ring.
Yeah.
But like when you see Kevin Von Erich now, like even when he went into the Hall of Fame, like they put a tux in it on him, but he still looked
disheveled.
He looked sloppy.
Yeah. So I have one more.
Okay.
Because the Von Erichs counted as 3, maybe 4. So who's next for you?
Well, I'll do a guy from my list that I just kind of made over here.
Okay.
Buck Zumhofe.
Yeah. Stout with the mustache and the mullet.
Yeah, he looks like what he became, like what it turned out he was.
And he also looks nothing like his gimmick. And when I say that is, he doesn't match his gimmick at all. If you think of his gimmick, rock and roll Buck Zumhofe with the rock and roll, when you think of the rock and roller like an 80s wrestler, you think of, a handsome kids like the Rockers or I'm not going to say that Ricky and Robert were handsome, but apparently they were because the chicks went crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like that gimmick. That gimmick.
It wasn't a rock. It was they didn't call him a rocker, but like if somebody's going to be rock and roll something, like it would be like rock and roll Tommy Rogers.
Yeah.
I don't think it's unmasculine to say that was a good looking dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you can say somebody's goofy looking, you can say, hey, that's a handsome looking guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most people want to have It's like, no, you just said that dude's ugly, so you got to say that somebody's a good looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Tommy Rogers, good looking dude. Chicks are gonna dig him.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna swoon. I don't think people were swooning for Buck Zumhofe.
And if she did, she was 370 pounds, and her name was Ethel.
Yeah.
And she was wearing a muumuu. Buck Zumhofe, you're a goofy-looking fucking pedophile. All right.
I think that's what the judge told him.
You're going to jail, you goofy-looking fucking pedophile. Rock and roll.
He's a bitch too. He's a bitch. Like he did what he did, and then he tried to run away.
Mm-hmm.
You know that when they sentenced him, he tried to run away.
Oh yeah, fuck that guy.
I wish he would have been one of them guys when they said he tried to run away and he fell off the balcony. You ever seen that guy? You ever seen the video of that guy?
Yes, I have seen that.
Does whatever he does, and he tries to run. Doesn't realize he's running off. He's on the second floor, and he falls off the balcony.
I will not apologize for saying that I hope that Buck Zumhofe gets his goofy-looking pedophile ass plowed daily in prison. Fuck off, Zumhofe. You piece of shit. So the last guy on my list that I'm going to say is goofy-looking was not always goofy-looking. You were just saying handsome guy, the ladies like him. This guy had that going for him in the 80s and the early 90s. But now...
I guess you think it is?
Yes.
Is it Billy Jack Haynes?
No.
Oh, Billy Jack Haynes is goofy looking.
He is goofy looking. He's got an old lady's wig and... Yeah. But no.
He's got multiple ones. Like Billy Jack Haynes is fucking insane. I'm not going to get off topic. Sorry.
Billy Jack Haynes, you're a goofy looking motherfucker. All right.
Stone cold piece of shit.
Stone cold piece of shit.
It's the greatest video ever. He's just out on a dirt road.
But for me, the goofy looking guy that I have here is old.
How about a farmer's market? Go ahead.
Old Sting.
Old Sting?
Yes.
Like now Sting?
Yes. Old Sting. Modern Sting. He's kind of goofy looking. Like, he's got that weird little goatee thing going on, and he slicks the hair back, but it's receding. And he's especially goofy looking when he's wrestled a match. And
his hair doesn't stay slick back.
It doesn't. It just gets kind of like briarwood or whatever, like brush. It's like brush. He just looks so rough and goofy looking.
I hope nobody flicks a cigarette at him. It'd go up.
But yeah, anyway, Old Sting is kind of goofy looking now.
Okay, talk about old guys looking goofy, and I can tell it's because he's had a hurt. You know who looks goofy now?
Who?
Mark Marrow.
Yeah, he does.
I think he's had more plastic surgery than Sable.
He looks weird. You look weird.
He's like the Kenny Rogers of wrestling. Like, you don't even look like what you used to look like. You were already somewhat goofy. You know? But now you just look like...
weird.
Yeah.
That's the best word I can use is weird. Yeah. All right, I have one more.
He looks like something that, like...
He looks like a Thundercat.
He looks like a normal dude, like a normal dude that, like, Beetlejuice did something to.
He looks like a Thundercat. All right, I have one more.
I don't even know what that means by saying it looks like the normal dude that Beetlejuice did something to. It's like because he could like rearrange people's faces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he looks like a claymation.
This is fun. Last one. Angelo Mosca Jr.
You already said him.
I know I did. That was the joke. Double goofy looking motherfucker.
I thought you were going to say Angelo Mosca Sr. because he was kind of goofy looking too.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of Mosca Sr., but I think he looked like a your standard imposing 70s heel.
He looked like a cave person.
His son looked like a cave person.
Both of them do. Did you ever see Angelo Mosca though in that video where he was like going in like the Canadian Hall of Fame though, and he's all old, some other dude's old, and they like start getting in like a fight?
Yes, I have seen that.
I watched that and I'm like, I wouldn't get in between these old motherfuckers. But anyway, I got like 3 more people on my list.
Okay.
But these are gimmicks.
All right.
We talked about them a little bit ago. The Goon.
The Goon. Bill Irwin.
That shit goofy.
It was goofy. Them weird.
I don't like Bill Irwin to begin with. Fucking hate Bill Irwin. And I didn't like him when he was in that tag team with his brother. I think those guys look floppy and sloppy. That's what their team name should have been. They look like Squidbillies. I just don't want anything to do with any of the Irwins. But it's just bad. And then when you take him and you put him in like a generic hockey jersey with some fucking stupid boots and a stupid gimmick and a stupid music, God, I hate that. It's like, how you made Bill Irwin worse. I didn't know that was possible.
It was apparently possible. And his music was just like dun, 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 dun,
yeah.
Dun, dun. Yeah.
Like when you're the worst compared to a guy named the Pug and TL Hopper, you're a fucking problem. You need to go away. And I know, see, there's a lot of those gimmicks that happened at that time where you don't want to fault the guy.
Yeah.
You know? Like Freddie Joe Floyd, you know this, I love Tracy Smothers. I'm a Tracy Smothers fan. Okay? Alex Porto, if he wouldn't have been saddled with the pug, I'm not saying he would have been like world heavyweight champion or whatever, but he might have had a career, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Alex Porto, honestly, when I look at it, I'm like, this guy would have been, and this is going to be super random, okay? He would have been a better body Donna than Tom Pritchard.
I have thought that numerous times, so it's not weird at all to me.
Like, Alex Porto should have been Zip.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and I'm a Tom Pritchard fan, okay? I like Tom Pritchard. But he would have fit that gimmick 10 times better than what Tom Pritchard did, and they probably would have got more miles out of the body Donnas.
Right.
But him being saddled with that pug gimmick was just
stupid,
dead on arrival. But yeah, when you're the worst of those like 95, 96 enhancement gimmick wrestlers, you got an issue. You look like shit. He wrestled like shit. I didn't like the guy.
Bill Irwin, you're a goofy looking fucking Squidbilly.
And that's what his wife wrote on the divorce papers. All right. The next guy on my list, it goes along the same lines of an Alex Porto, that he was a talented person, but was saddled with a horrible, horrible gimmick. And I didn't think Alex Porto looked dumb. I just thought it was a dumb name. But this guy looked fucking ridiculous. And it's Aldo Montoya.
Jockstrap.
What the fuck?
He could have just been Aldo Montoya, the Portuguese man of war, without that
and
mask.
And not had the stupid mask.
Yeah, and it would have worked. It would have been fine.
Like, the tights weren't bad.
Mm-mm.
You know? He could have just had his face out there. Or, I don't know, maybe just put him in a regular mask. You want him to have a mask on? But he looked fucking stupid.
Yeah. It had like the pointy nose thing on it, and yeah. What a fucking popcorn fart that thing was.
But out of all these, I think it had the longest run.
He did. Yeah. Yeah, because that gimmick went into like early '97. Like he was still jobbing on he was still jobbing right before Raw became Raw is War on Raw. So yeah, I mean he got some miles out of it.
But it was goofy as fuck.
Yes, it was.
Do you have any people that just pop into your mind as being goofy looking?
No.
If not, that's fine. And the last one on my list is the goofiest of goofy. It's Mantar.
Mm-hmm. Mantar. That guy was not only goofy looking in the gimmick, but he was goofy looking in general. Kind of this little pudgy fucking... And the gimmick. I mean, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Elaborate.
He's wearing like a paper mache bullhead.
And then
can't get in the ring.
And then his hair.
He's running around like making like cow noises, and it was just bad. And the thing is, like, I don't know enough about the guy to know if he was good, because every gimmick that they gave him was something that wouldn't allow him to work.
Yeah, I've seen him work.
You know what I mean?
I've seen him work because in Memphis, when they did the Truth Commission before it came up to the WWF, he was Tank in the Truth Commission, and he wasn't a great worker. He was what that guy would have been best suited for. Because I mean, maybe even not that. No, not even that. Never mind. I was going to say he would have been best suited to be a bodyguard like they did with Triple H, and then they did it with Goldust, too. But the problem with him being the bodyguard is he wasn't a tall... He wasn't a tall, fat guy. He was a short, fat guy. So he was actually, like, shorter than the guy he was being the bodyguard for. Terribly ineffective. Never mind. I take back what I said. And they didn't make him Triple H's bodyguard. That was Mr. Hughes. But
yes,
they had him be the bodyguard for Goldust, who was like 6 inches taller than him, just so he could get beat up by the Warrior on one night. But yeah, and then they had his head shaved, like the horns, and it wasn't even like bull horns. It was like fucking matador horns or something. Yeah, it was stupid. It was really stupid. But if any
Mr. Hughes, you know what Mr. Hughes is? He's an anomaly. You know why? Because he's like the only guy that was better in like 93 through 95 ECW than he was when he was like in the WWF or WCW.
Oh yeah, his best stuff is ECW. You got money? Yeah. That's his best stuff. When he was a Shane.
My favorite Mr. Hughes moment is, you know what it is though?
What?
He's feuding with the Undertaker, and the Undertaker brings out Undertaker's like minions or whatever. Bring out a black wreath.
Oh yeah, and it takes him forever to read.
And he looks at the card and he's like looking at it. And I'll go with about how long the silence was. So guys, don't think the show's over. I'm going with the silence. All right. Mr. Hughes picks up the card off of the wreath and it goes like this. Rest in peace. And goes, it took him that long to read that. And that was the minute that Vince McMahon gave up currency.
That push is over, pal.
It took him that long to read that. But those are some goofy looking. Like I said, like you said, we went with a different direction.
Mm-hmm. But they were both fun.
Yes.
So apparently next time around, we're going to do top 10 workers of all time. We're not talking about, top 10 our favorite wrestlers, like, your Ric Flairs, or maybe Ric Flair will be on the list, but I'm just saying workers. Like we talked about Sean Waltman, he's one of the great workers of all time. He's just not looked at as one of the biggest superstars of all time. So we'll do that top 10 next time around. Aaron gave away some free shit. The official name of this episode is episode 87, Bill Irwin is a Squidbilly. And there's no Al Jolson to sign us out tonight. So I just want to...
Why isn't it Buck Sumoff, yeah? Goofy looking pedophile.
Goofy looking fucking pedophile. I want to encourage everybody that hasn't yet to join our Facebook group and to subscribe to our YouTube page, because I promise you a lot of the live content and stuff that we are going to do in the year 2020, I'm really trying to build the YouTube page this year, so we're going to be doing a lot more on YouTube, and especially I'm even going to have exclusive live shows, live contests and stuff on the YouTube page, so go subscribe to the We Can't Wrestle Podcast YouTube page. It's going to take you 5 seconds. You're on YouTube anyway. Look it up, subscribe, and you will be on board with the future of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. That being said, Aaron, do you want to say anything to our listeners before we sign off? And I let you go.
No.
Go do your thing for the evening.
I gotta poop, so no.
Aaron's gonna get out. He's gonna get out of the studio quick. And we will see you next week with the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Thanks for joining us, everybody.